Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Forex mentorship program for beginners. Today, we are going to be talking about the history of money. In our last video, we talked about the meaning of Forex, and I did promise that we were going to go into details in this video with the history of money. Before money came into existence, or before the foreign exchange market came into existence, people were still trading, but they were trading the barter system. This barter system was introduced in about 6000 BC by certain Mesopotamian tribes. What was the barter system all about? Trade by barter. I'm sure this word should be common. Most of us who have gone to school, we probably must have heard about trade by barter, where goods and services were exchanged for goods and services without the use of money. Trade by barter had issues. Let's take, for example, if you had a farmer who had a cow and then needed apples, this farmer will go an extra mile to look for another farmer who has apples and actually needs a cow. This was a problem. How would you equate a cow to apples? How many apples or what amount of apples is this other farmer going to bring to equate a single cow? It became very, very difficult. Your assignment, please just go ahead and look at the disadvantages of trade by barter so that I don't get to talk too much about it and we waste time. Trade by barter became very difficult. And so they needed to look for something that could replace trade by barter, something that could serve as a medium of exchange, something that could serve as a unit of value, something that could serve as a store of value. And then what was that thing? It was gold. Why did they choose gold? Gold was scarce. Gold was durable. Gold was precious. It was hard to harvest. So they went for gold and they started using gold. Gold was generally accepted. It was uniform. 700 BC, people were using gold as a medium of exchange. Gold also had issues. Gold was heavy. It was difficult to carry gold from one location to another. Gold was debatable, which means you could take a piece of gold and you crush it, you melt it, and you print another currency. Gold had a problem with denominations. When I talk about denominations, we have paper money and we have different forms of paper money. In Cameroon, for example, we have 500 paper money, 1000 paper money, 2000 paper money. But you could not produce paper money with gold. So it had a problem with denominations. So they had to stop using gold. Banks started coming up, especially in Europe. They will tell you, bring your gold coins into our banks and keep them. We are going to issue you a paper called the IOU, which means you have left a certain number of gold coins in our banks. And the paper that we are giving you is going to carry the name of our bank and is going to carry the number of coins of gold that you have left in our bank. Now you can take this paper, this IOU, and you go to any shop, present this IOU to any shopkeeper. This shopkeeper can take this IOU, bring it into our bank, and redeem this coin. So people used this system for a long period of time and it was working. There was a problem. Somebody could take this IOU, one shopkeeper could take this IOU and never come back to this bank to redeem these coins. And the bank will be left with these coins. So many people could use the same IOU to carry out transaction. It was a problem. Another problem was these same banks, if they had too many coins in their bank, what they will do is they will assume that this owner is not going to come to redeem these coins. So they will take these coins and lend it to another bank for interest. And this is what was called fractional reserve banking. It still happens today. You save money in a bank and the bank takes this money and borrows to another person. Let's say eventually you come, let's say your bank gave your coins to another bank yesterday, and then today you come, you want your coins. Your coins are no longer there. This is what we call bankruptcy. So it was a problem. The other problem was, imagine a bank gave you an IOU, Bank A gave you an IOU, and then you travel to another country with this IOU, and you presented this IOU to another bank. Now, this bank will say, we don't know this IOU, we don't know this bank, but since you come from far, it is going to take us time for us to go to your bank to redeem these coins. So we are going to give you these other coins at a cheaper rate because you are going to pay transportation to go to your bank to go and redeem your coins. So it became very difficult. Another challenge is that many people could just open banks, just collect coins from people. Anyone could just sit and open a bank. So it became very difficult. In 1694, the central bank evolved. And that is when the first Bank of England, or the Bank of England, was created in 1694. When this bank was created, it said, no, no longer going to be these petty banks around. We are stopping this thing. Whatever currency or whatever paper bill that is going to be used is going to be issued by one central bank. And this went on for a while. All of those petty banks were closed, and the central banks were in charge. World War I broke out in Europe. They could not use these paper bills again, these IOUs, because those countries needed a lot of money to sponsor their military powers to go fight. The only country that was not affected by this war was the United States of America. It was very stable. It had a stable economy. It had gold reserve. That's what we call the Bretton Woods Accord. The Bretton Woods Accord was just a meeting that was held by 44 nations, including the United States, Britain, and France. They met in the US in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. They met there. They said the war ended. A lot of countries have shattered. We have to do something so that we can stabilize exchange rates so that we can trade freely with one another. And how can we do this? We are going to stop these countries from producing their own currency, because if they continue to produce their own currency, they are going to devalue their currencies and they are going to ask more of the dollars through the export system. They will export more of their goods and they will need us to send the dollar to them. So we are going to regulate that. They are not going to do this. So what we are going to do is we are going to ask them to back their currency to the dollar. Now that we have gold, we are going to back the dollar to gold. Foreign currencies will be pledged to the dollar, and the dollar will be pledged to gold. And this was okay. Now, what was their objective again? The objective of that meeting, Bretton Woods Accord or agreement, was to create the IMF. Let us look at it. So they were able to create the IMF, and they were also able to create the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is what we call today as the World Bank. What was the purpose of this World Bank? It was to lend money to those countries that were heavily affected by war, those countries that were shattered, and those countries that were still struggling to develop. So the Bretton Woods Accord had these objectives. One, to stabilize exchange rates of different countries. Two, to create the International Monetary Fund. Three, to create the World Bank. And then four, to pledge foreign currencies to the dollar, and then pledge the dollar to gold, since the United States had a lot of gold reserve. Now, this went on for a while, and this was called the Golden Era. This is what happened. United States government realized that because these countries in Europe that suffered from war, they needed a lot of money to redevelop. So the United States or the World Bank was lending them a lot of money. It was in 1971, President Richard Nixon came up and said, "We do not have enough gold reserve again. We are going to abolish this Bretton Woods system. We are going to introduce what we call the free floating system. The dollar is going to be the major currency, but it is no longer going to be backed by gold because we don't have any gold reserve again in our reserve." That is how the Bretton Woods Accord was abolished, and the dollar became a free floating currency. Now, how did Forex come about? In the early 90s, people started having access to the internet. They started building computers. They started developing internet services. But it was so difficult to trade in the foreign exchange market because you needed at least a million units of currencies to trade in the foreign exchange market. Brokers started coming up. Brokers helped us to be able to connect to the bank and participate in the foreign exchange market. I am sure that you were able to learn something. In our next video, we'll talk about something important again. Until I talk to you again next time, be safe. Thank you.